And welcome to the Technology Geek podcast. This is episode 11. I am your host, Brandon Lapani, the Technology Geek. And it's time to talk tech here, as we do every week on this show. And what a week in tech we had. And this is actually going to be our January 27th podcast, but we're actually recording it today on the 26th. And let's see, we have first of all, let's get our sponsors out of the way. Wonderful sponsor at Audible. We get a free 30-day trial of any audiobook. All the audiobooks, by the way, are one credit now, for those of you that don't know. And they're really a wonderful service. I like using them myself when I'm going to the gym or driving in the car. It's great to listen to a good book. I'm actually going to start on using World War Z here soon. I listened to the Steve Jobs biography on there, and a lot of wonderful just books they have, and it's a really wonderful service. And you get a free 30-day trial and one free download with our trial, and that's audibletrial.com/techgeek. This way we'll go ahead and we'll get the credit for it. We'd appreciate that. And let me tell you what a way that Audible has came. I remember if everybody remembers years ago, you'd download an audiobook and you'd have to remember where you were and all that type of stuff. With Audible, it's got an app that goes right on your iPhone or your Android device or your tablet device, and it saves your spot for you and all that type of stuff. Saves the chapters. It's really a wonderful service. We really like our Audible app, and it's really wonderful. And we're lucky to have them as a sponsor. By the way, they sponsor our podcast as well as our YouTube channel and our Ustream channel as well. So they sponsor all of our multimedia stuff, and we're very lucky to have them as a sponsor here for the Technology Geek. And also too, I want to remind everybody you can get all of our stuff on aacrstore.com. That's our store, our eBay store. It's a wonderful store. You have a little something for everything, something for everybody on there. It's really, really wonderful. And let me see. Well, one of the things I do want to mention is, by the way, we do have a wonderful. We've done a lot of changes to the website. For those of you that go to the website a lot, I know we have a lot of people that read the blog, and that's wonderful. By the way, we appreciate all of our readers and as well as our listeners and all that. And we made some changes just recently. We have services now, a services tab. Under there, we have PC Help Desk. If you have problems, I can help you out directly, actually, or one of the people can help you out. It's North American tech support people, so no India. And you can go ahead and you could, we can help you out with your computer issue remotely, fix viruses, troubleshoot computer issues and all that type of stuff. So that's a wonderful service we're offering now on the website. By the way, we do offer services, to people because, folks, we don't make any money on this, as far as, we don't charge. I know a lot of websites, we're looking at other ways to generate revenue for our business here. And, there are a lot of companies out there that have, what they call premium streams, which are, the little bit better posts and stuff like that, or they only give you part of the post, and then you click through and you have a subscription to get the rest of it. Actually, a lot of newspapers and stuff are going with that model. We're not going to do that. Content's free. All of our shows are free. They always have been, always will be. And, we also encourage people to, as long as you give us credit for our work, and we encourage people to redistribute this stuff, so help people out with their technology issues and all that type of stuff. So we encourage that. But you can see also, too, we have a web design tab as well as internet marketing tab. Some services that we offer. Like I said, we do have to generate some revenue here because we can't keep the site up. And, and something that we've done actually because of the listeners themselves. A lot of people have said to us, could you, I wish you were here so you can help in my computer problem. And that's why we're doing this, folks, because of people that have asked for it. So we're very glad we're able to do it. And, believe me, I'm really happy to, to be able to help everybody and, to be able to do, to help you out with your computer problems, especially if you are a listener. We're very grateful. And, we want to help people with other problems. That's why we're here. So, again, that's some of our services that we're offering here. And as well, folks, I also want to remind everybody, too, about the forum as well. And there you can post a question, and we'll do what we can to help you. And as well as our IRC chat as a channel as well, the Technology Geek. Want to encourage people to use those services to get their problems solved, so you don't have to call us and waste their money. But for those of you that just can't figure out a problem or can't get help, we do have services available for you. But like I said, try the forums, the IRC chats, and all types of stuff, and send questions into the show. We just added another section in there, by the way. Two other sections in the site, actually. One is you can submit to us, which is where you go ahead and you submit a question, or you go ahead and submit a story. And there's also there's Write For Us. We did get a couple people that have asked if they could write articles for the site, and we're more than happy to accept them. Believe me. So go ahead. Those are two other services we have, and we encourage everybody to go ahead and contribute to the site. This is the only way we're going to be the one-stop shop for all tech issues. And like I said, it comes down to we want to make a one-stop shop where everybody can get their technology questions answered and can get their, if you have technology, you have technology problems. And we want to make it so anybody of all ages can, if they have tech problems, can get a hold of us. And, we are offering our services to help you out. But if you can get it, if you're tech savvy enough that you just need a couple questions answered, the forums or asking me a question or, the chat room. I'm actually in the chat room right now, chatting with a couple people that are having some tech issues. So we encourage you to use those services that we provide. And, these services will always be free. As far as, the chat, the forum, the show, all the posts. So that stuff will always be free. We won't charge for that. But, like we said, we do have paid PC support for those of you that are in dire need. So, feel free to utilize that if you need. We do charge for support case, but like I said, if you're desperate and you need somebody to fix and you want somebody you can trust, we're definitely the people you want to contact. So, but as far as tech goes, getting on to that, as far as tech goes, by the way, we had that the Sony was fined like $400,000 by the UK authorities over that data breach from 2011, and honestly, I kind of forgotten about that. Over the years, it seems like it's just something that nobody thinks about. But apparently, they pursued them, and because the people that were hacking were after the data, and I don't know if a lot of people remember the site came back up and then it went back down again. Only like a week later, not even, I think it was a day or two later. But, that was something that, was a really, really, big issue for Sony. They just couldn't get the network back up. It was down for quite a while. So, they're being fined over. And fines are fines. It's a pretty hefty fine. So I'm sure, it's more than a slap on the wrist to them. But when you think about how many millions they make, or billions probably they make, $400,000 fine's a lot for them to pay, but it's still probably a drop in the bucket. And the truth of the matter is, if it is going to really financially strain the company, they'll just do layoffs or something. And that's the really unfortunate part when stuff like this happens. It's the workers that suffer, really not the company, because the company needs to, worry about their bottom line. So, but that was kind of something I was kind of interested in. The other thing too that I noticed in the news that was kind of neat this week was a lot of people saying that former executives, former executive, the guy that, by the way, left from the whole Windows 8 debacle, he was talking trash about Steve Ballmer, the CEO of Microsoft. And they're saying that Ballmer ousts anybody that's competition to him as far as running the company. And, I can believe that. There's been stories about him throwing chairs at people and all that type of stuff. And according to the article here, Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer, isn't the right leader for the company and all that type of stuff. But for Microsoft to really get back in the game, they need to kind of get rid of him. But anybody that wants to change his way or to change the way he wants to go, apparently ousts him from the company. Obviously, everybody knows, as the senior vice president, in charge of, crucial part of the company, he has direct access to Gates, which Gates, as everybody knows, is actually the largest shareholder since the 80s. A lot of people don't know that. He actually bought back a lot of the stock as people have left. But, and especially if he's a friend of Gates, it's going to be very hard for anybody to get him out of there until he's ready to leave. So, unfortunately, we hope he gets out of there before, Microsoft really hits rock bottom, and Microsoft does really have some rough times. But they did declare a profit this quarter, so they must be doing okay. They reported, actually, it's one of the other stories I bolted for today, is Microsoft reported a revenue of $21.5 billion, earning $6.38 billion. So, they're doing okay. Maybe Ballmer is in the right direction. We don't know. We all know that they, that they purchased Skype for $8.3 billion. That's another, purchase by them that I think was a good move. But, you wonder because, Microsoft hasn't really done much with that since they purchased it. If you really think about it, what have they really done with that product? They are, they've moved it ahead, but they haven't really, there's not a lot that they've done with it. And if I got to integrate it into the Xbox, they're killing Messenger, obviously, for that, which is which is, obviously they were going to do that when they decided to get rid of the, to get rid of Messenger, but that's why they bought Skype, because they wanted to, compete in that whole market share area. And I don't know how much, revenue Skype actually makes. I mean, I don't know how many people buy the Skype credits or buy the subscription, but I mean, I'm sure they do. I mean, I know they do declare a profit, but I mean, I'm really surprised Microsoft hasn't done a lot with them in the sense that, that they really haven't, they haven't really integrated it into the product. I'm sure it's going to become a crucial part of the product, but they haven't really done a lot with it since they purchased it. So I'm be curious to see what they actually do with that. Well, the other thing, too, I wanted to point out, too, is, Google posts, they were talking about 4 billion hours of YouTube viewing since we're talking about multimedia. That was really intense. And, YouTube's always the number one site. You expect that. Even you've noticed when you search, YouTube's always the first one on the list. And rightfully so. I mean, it is Google's company, so you expect that. By the way, there's another bullet we have here, by the way, Sherlock Holmes to play Assange in WikiLeaks movie. The Sherlock Holmes show, the actor that plays in that show, he's going to actually they're actually making a WikiLeaks movie. We need to see, and since we're on the topic of movies, the first clip of the Ashton Kutcher Jobs movie came out. It's from the same guy, by the way, that directed the Social Network movie. I'm curious to see what that is. I mean, I know Steve Wozniak kind of really, bashed it pretty good, but he said, that's not really what happened, and I think that definitely, this movie definitely has potential, but for me, it's always going to be, watching the Pirates of Silicon Valley with Noah Wyle as Jobs. A lot of people say he really embodied the character, and I think it's definitely a good, I mean, that was a great movie for its time. I mean, even though it was only a TNT TV special for its time, it was really, really great. And, they had, I forget the gentleman that played Bill Gates, but it was a fabulous movie. And I think, I just don't see this movie having that zing to it like that one did. I mean, Ashton Kutcher, we all know he's a big technology investor and all that type of stuff, but I just can't picture him as playing Steve Jobs. And he even made a comment saying, now that I played Steve Jobs, I can run Apple. I don't think... he's too Ashton Kutcherian to be playing Steve Jobs. I just don't think he has it, has that in him. But we'll see as it comes out. It's coming out in April. We actually put a post about that up on the site, by the way, for those of you that didn't catch that. What else do we have? Oh, by the way, we posted about this as well, is that Facebook apparently working on an algorithm and working on the Save Company. What they're trying to do is they're trying to figure out, this is all in regards to the Aaron Swartz piece. They're actually trying to figure out a way that they could write an algorithm that knows what their habits are like right before they commit suicide. And then if Facebook actually notices that, the algorithm will actually have somebody from Save or something from the National Prevention Hotline, National Suicide Prevention Hotline, call the person. And I think that's a really great move. Social networks have been eating a lot of guff over the years for the privacy issues and all that type of stuff, and how people share their whole lives on there. But, this is one thing that Facebook could really do that would really, help their investors, obviously, is for help people being, interested in them again, and to really help their investors get a little bit more, pull. Because, that's the thing about, Facebook. They've had a stagnant stock. They haven't really done, this whole, the search thing is a big thing for them, but this is a way of them saying, hey, maybe people do post their whole lives, but hey, we save lives because of it. This is a serious step, a serious marketing tool for them, as well as obviously the most important piece. They're going to save lives, which is obviously the most important piece. But I really think this could be a major thing for Facebook as far as helping them out and giving them a lot of positive press, though. More than people just playing Farmville on there. And actually, speaking of games, Atari filed for Chapter 11 because they're trying to break away from their French partner. So I thought that was kind of a neat article. We posted that on the site. I'm not going to get too much into it because we did post it, but that was kind of a neat article up there. The other thing too that I guess it's kind of neat to see a kind of Yahoo trying to jump into the game. They're buying Snippet, which is I guess a Pinterest competitor. It's neat to see them. Neat to see what Yahoo does. I know they're trying to get back in the game. They got a new CEO now and all that type of stuff. So it'd be neat to see how they get back in the game. It's very possible. I mean, a lot of companies that have struggled have bounced back and came better than ever. But I mean, look at Apple for instance. But we need to see how they do. They're still a big player in the game, So we'll see what happens. I mean, they still got some chance. Maybe their search might not be their bread and butter, but the media and all type of stuff might be. So we'll see how that goes. By the way, one of the other things, too, that I was noticing is Apple apparently said they fixed some maps, and they're going to fix more by the end of the year. But the other thing, too, that I guess was neat was Tim Cook keeps kind of dodging this Apple TV question. And, one of the things, too, that Apple stock has kind of slipped a little bit, and I mean, it's still obviously the most valuable company in the world. But one of the things that the people have to realize, too, is Apple may never go up to that pinnacle again for a while. You have to realize, too, any company that can own a market for that many years, Apple doesn't own the phone market anymore. I mean, you remember for about 2 years, they pretty much owned the whole phone market. They don't, then with the tablet market, they own that market for how long? They need, a lot of people saying, well, Apple should come out with a television. Well, they have Apple TV, but actually come out with an Apple television. I mean, they could do that and predominantly own the whole TV market for a while until everybody catches up. One of the other things, a lot of people have said is about Steve Jobs there. It's just, Apple just hasn't had that zing that it did before. But, it's very hard for any company to own a market and to hold on to that market for so long, especially as Apple did. I mean, they held on to it for a couple of years. And, they slowly acquired, other carriers and all that. So they really, for a while there, were like the big game in town. So, I mean, obviously, the Droid is a direct competitor now where they weren't a couple of years ago. So, I mean, they're seriously, I mean, they could seriously come out with something and really dominate the market again, but I'd be curious to see what it is. Very few companies have one hit. Apple had two, the iPhone and then the iPad. So we'll see what they come out with. I'd be very surprised if Apple doesn't come out with a television. And I'm not just talking Apple TV. I'm talking just an Apple television in general and clinch that market for a couple of years. That would be very Apple of them. Speaking of television, while we're at it, Netflix actually had a fourth quarter profit, and they actually added a little more than 2 million, about 2,500,000 subscribers. So that's a huge thing for them. The company's been struggling for a while, and for them to actually report a huge profit like that is wonderful for them, and it shows them it shows a lot of people that they're still pushing hard. And it's just wonderful for them. I think they're a great company, and I have a Netflix account. I don't know anybody that really doesn't anymore. But to see them, they were struggling there for a while, and their stock actually just jumped quite a bit for the first time in a couple of years, and it's heading back up. And I think they had a little bit of a direction change. It didn't work out for them, but they seem like they rebounded, and they're holding steady. They're definitely signing new companies and all type of stuff. So they're definitely they're definitely pushing ahead, and it's wonderful. They are a good company, and they had some issues there, but they worked them out, which is what good companies do. They work them out, and a lot of companies come back better than before, and that's exactly what Apple did, and Netflix is doing it now too. So I mean, you have to look at too. Netflix is another Apple in a sense that they pretty much own the streaming market for a couple of years, and the movie market as well. I mean, they really were trailblazers in that, and they really, first with mailing you the DVDs in the mail, and then with the streaming, and then a lot of these other companies decide, hey, let's all get in on this because they own the market they did own the market for a couple of years, which is why they were, as strong as they are, and I think they still are the strongest player in the game, and but I give them a lot of credit. They were kind of trailblazers, and they did own the market for a couple of years, just like Apple did. So, I mean, look at Google. They're the same thing. They were, Google search, they pretty much own that market right now, and nobody's really been able to knock them off their throne. Somebody might. I'm not saying somebody isn't. Look at how fast technology progresses, but for right now, they have that whole market kind of wrapped up. Bing tried to take away some of their zing, but they just didn't do it as well as Google. And I'm sure there will be a direct competitor for Google out there. I think the social search is the closest thing we've seen so far, but the graphical search. But we'll see what happens. When a company owns a market for that many years, they're going to get the power and the, that. And then Google has that power in the search engine market because they have it all wrapped up. So we'll see what happens as time progresses. One of the things that was kind of neat, there was an article up on Slashdot, and those of you that listen, I met some of you actually on Slashdot, ironically enough. Lapani Tech, as most I comment on a lot of the articles and all that type of stuff. And I know some of you are listening because you found us through Slashdot. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I've been a big Slashdotter for a while. And, I'm a huge, a huge Reddit fan as well. I know a lot of you have met me through Reddit and all that. So, we appreciate all of our listeners and all of our readers. And anyways, we can get, to me, getting people to listen to the show or to read it, I'm just trying to help everybody out by helping them with their tech issues and not, being able to solve them on their own and save money, especially in this wacky economy. But, those of you I know from Slashdot and Reddit, I do appreciate you guys coming over and bringing people over with you. I know there was somebody that I was talking to the other day on the IRC chat who I knew from Slashdot, and they were saying how they came over and they brought a couple other guys over with them, and there's about a dozen of them listening. So we do appreciate that, and we do appreciate you guys getting the word out. One of the things that they said, one of the things that Slashdot has, why you'll pay for Netflix even if you don't subscribe to Netflix. At the 2013 Customer Electronics Show, Netflix announced that Super HD, which is an immense theater video format, they say it looks almost like lifelike web stream. They say it's going to compete directly with Blu-ray discs, and you can watch high definition movies, and those that that are on Cablevision or Google Fiber will get those services by Time Warner, or those who host smaller provides will not. So if you have Time Warner, if you have Time Warner or a host of a smaller thing, you won't get that. But those of you that are getting that have Google Fiber or Cablevision, you'll get that as part of your subscription. So I think that's kind of neat. Regardless of whether you subscribe to Netflix or not, you're going to end up paying for it, because that's one of the ways they're going to offer movies on Cablevision and Google Fiber. So that was kind of neat. One of the things that I guess Netflix is trying to do is they're trying to offload their costs. They're trying to give smaller ISPs, or not just smaller, but small in the sense that they only cover certain. They're trying to give them their own Netflix servers, and then the servers propagate. Netflix server will propagate to that server, so this way everybody's not jumping right to Netflix. They're staying on their local VLAN network to help improve performance and all that type of stuff. And that was a great move by Netflix, and I think that's something that definitely is it shows how they're. I think that was definitely something that that they've done, that giving companies their own giving ISPs their own servers definitely was a that's definitely offloading a lot of bandwidth cost for them, because they're not self-hosting everything. Obviously the company's hosting it for them, and I think the companies themselves like it, because they're not saves on their bandwidth out. You know what I mean? So it was actually was a really, really good move on Netflix's part. And since we're speaking of movies, couple things that we're talking about movies. J.J. Abrams to direct the new Star Wars. I know we're all looking forward to that in 2015. That was something. So we're talking about movies. The other thing too that kind of shocked me, and maybe because I haven't seen one in a while, was that Dish is shutting down 300 Blockbusters. I didn't think there was any Blockbusters around anymore. I haven't seen a Blockbuster in a couple of years. I was kind of shocked. They're still going to have about 200 Blockbusters still out there, but I was kind of shocked to see that. I didn't think there were any Blockbusters around anymore. So those of you that laughing at me right now, I haven't seen a Blockbuster in forever. So the other thing that was kind of just because we were talking about Facebook a little bit was the whole Facebook. A lot of people share the teacher that's going to face being fired because of that Facebook photo, and what she said about her students. Again, this is part of the problem with Facebook, and this is why they need something like positive press, like like this whole thing they're doing to try to help with suicide prevention. But Facebook gets blamed, and it's really not their fault. It was somebody who's stupid enough to put something that shouldn't be up there, and it's just somebody's stupidity. It's not Netflix's fault, but I'm sorry, it's not Facebook's fault. But again, people don't put anything you don't want up on the internet that you don't want somebody else to see. If you don't want somebody else to see it, don't put it up there. And if you're tagging it with public or something like that, people are going to see it. So. Let's see what else. Oh, by the way, Microsoft is going to invest $1 to $3 billion in the Dell buyout. Now, I was reading about this. Apparently, they're not going to be buying out Dell. They're actually just going to be buying into them so that they can put their products on their hardware. See, excuse me. See, the thing is, a lot of people don't realize this. Apple manufactures the hardware, and they put their OS on it. Microsoft doesn't. They're a software company. So they have to figure out a way to start to be able to put out their services and all that at a cheaper price. But they have to figure out a way to be able to put their software on their hardware. And that's what they're trying to do here, I believe, with this purchasing of Dell. So, we'll see what happens with this as we, as we go through this. But, that's what Microsoft's, really trying to do. And speaking of the Surface, as everybody knows, the Surface Pro will come out on February 9th. I've used the Surface. We had a demo of it here for a while. It's heavy. It is nice that you have Office and all that has become part of it. I mean, that definitely is. But it's heavy. It's bulky. It's nice. Especially if you need Microsoft. I mean, you might as well buy the Surface. But because you're going to get the most for your money. If you have to buy Office, you're going to pay a lot. But it really, it was kind of heavy. I thought. But again, that might just be me. Maybe I need to start hitting the gym a little bit more. Who knows? Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I need to exercise more. I don't know. But that was kind of a neat thing. The other thing that I noticed was, we were talking about Facebook before, is the Twitter put out a tweet that they were going to be having some intermittent issues. And everybody knows they're working on they've been dealing with some page rendering issues over the last couple of days. I think they might be worked out now, but that was. They're experiencing, and that's I think that was really nice that they said that they were going to have some issues because they were trying to work through some things. And a lot of companies don't do that, and I think that was really good on their part. Helps them not get negative press. And since we're talking about buyouts, and I just saw this in my notes, is that the Cisco is actually, as we know, fortunately selling off the Linksys brand. Fortunately, I really do like Linksys products. I've been boasting about them for years. But what's kind of neat is Belkin's going to buy them. Now, most of you know I don't talk highly about Belkin on this show. And I do apologize to them. We've never had them as a sponsor, and that could be a good reason why. But I'm hoping that with this acquisition that perhaps Belkin might actually beef up their product. I'm hoping that Linksys doesn't get worse. I'm hoping that Linksys doesn't go from great to bad. But I'm hoping that maybe Belkin will step their game up by copying Linksys' hardware, their firmware. The firmware, by the way, for those who don't know, is the operating system that resides on the device. But that I'm really hoping that they're going to really hopefully that Linksys will rub off, and then maybe that's why Belkin's buying them, because they want to beef up their their product. Who knows? By the way, I also wanted to say, too, we were talking about Skype before. I gotta start putting these articles in order. Dozens of privacy activists, internet activists, and journalists have had issues with the open letter of Skype and Microsoft. They wrote an open letter to Skype and Microsoft calling for the company to finally get around to being clear and not being transparent who has access to the Skype user data and how that data is secured. That's something I've really talked to a lot of people about. And I wanted to bring this article up when I saw it. I said I wanted to talk about it. I had a friend of mine, her husband's in the service. And by the way, I want to thank all of our men and women in the armed forces and the wonderful job that they do of protecting our country and protecting our freedoms. And we just want to say thank you to all of them. And, they're wonderful, and believe me, I respect any of them. My grandfather was in the service, as well as a very good friend of mine was in Vietnam, and my grandfather was actually in World War II, actually. And I just want to thank all of you. I have a great respect for our men and women in the military. And she had a Skype session with her husband at the time, and she had a topless Skype session. And me being a big security person, I said, well, how do you know who's actually looking at that? And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, Skype records, every conversation you have. And she immediately was like panic-stricken. Who can she contact to get that video off the internet? Now, I doubt it's going to hit the internet, because if it did, Microsoft and Skype obviously would have a huge lawsuit on their hands from all the users. But, you got to wonder if there's somebody sitting in a data center looking at these videos. So before you decide to go and do anything you don't want seen on camera, I would strongly recommend that you definitely make sure that you don't put anything on camera you don't want to be seen. And it's not just that, and I'm not just saying, I'm not saying anything bad about anybody that works at Skype, but what if Skype gets hacked and somebody gets their recording issue and they released all those videos and now now you have, videos of your wife, naked or topless on the internet, or your wife, you yourself have videos that you just don't want to see, on the internet. It's something really definitely you need to think about. And definitely something that people don't think about. And I think it's just, I'm trying to bring, one of the things we try to do with our websites, our podcasts and our videos and all that, is try to bring awareness to people. And I don't think that's something that people are very aware about. So, I just want to bring that up. And, since the Skype acquisition of Microsoft, both entities have not answered that question. And I guess a lot of people are pushing for it. And the other thing is what user data is retained and what eavesdropping happens on Skype conversations. Is there anybody, there's a lot that goes into this, and I don't think they've addressed enough of it. So we'll see what happens with that. Speaking of privacy issues, is that obviously Mega, who the new site that replaced Mega Upload, is out now, and that's been a very big hot topic as well with them, because they're kind of in the same boat. People are saying, hey, who has access to these files? And Kim.com has gone and said, well, hey, I don't even know what's on the servers. And believe me, anybody that owns a company like that, they know the passwords to the servers, and they can get into the servers and see that. That's a load of baloney, because if you own the company, you have the passwords. That's just good IT practices. But I know things are up there. I know things are encrypted, but you have to wonder. I'm not saying Mega Upload had a lot of legitimate users, just like BitTorrent. BitTorrent is a tool. People use it for bad things. But the same thing was happening with Mega Upload. But with this, they're saying that it's up there. Nobody else can see it unless the people that you give access to and all that type of stuff. So I think it's definitely a controversial site. It's very close to Mega Upload. To a certain degree, and I'm very curious to see what happens with them, because they've been needing a lot of heat, and the site's only been up about a week and a half. So, the other thing I wanted to also bring up, and I thought it's kind of neat, is Intel says they're leaving the motherboard business. Now, I'm curious to see. We know that there have been articles this week as well on Slashdot. Those of you that do read the site with me, that there actually is. I guess Intel is looking to get into the mobile chip market, and I think that's a wonderful thing that they're trying to do. But I think it's something that's going to be very. I think it's something that's very. I think it's great that they're getting into the mobile chip market, but I think they're way late. I think it's going to be very interesting to see them try to push through all the people that are already in that space, like Samsung and some of the others. So. I'm curious to see how that all plays out over the next couple of weeks, over the next couple of months, I should say, a year, however long it's going to take them. Apparently, the rumors were that they'd be within a month or two. They're going to, after the next motherboard releases, they're going to get out, and they're just going to keep supporting their own products. But I need to see when it actually happens. So we'll see what happens with that. And I think that's pretty much it as far as the tech news goes. This week. Let's see what else we have here. Well, I guess let me go into our. I guess I'll go into a commercial here. Quickly, and then we'll go ahead. I just want to say a wonderful sponsor, Roku. Roku, our wonderful sponsor. If you click on our sponsor link, click on Roku, start streaming videos and all that for $59.99 a month. They're a wonderful company. Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Spotify, Pandora, anything you think of it, you can stream us on. There's practically a channel for everything on there. I know there's actually even channels for sites like Twit TV, Prison Planet TV. All those wonderful sites all have channels on the Roku. I haven't found a channel that they don't have. And they're really a wonderful service, and I would recommend anybody to go ahead and get a Roku. $59.99 if you click through from our sponsor page. That's where we get the credit for it, and you get a little bit of a discount on that purchase. So I want to thank that. And what I want to do next is I want to get to your questions here, ladies and gentlemen. So this is our podcast 11, question and answers from all of our wonderful listeners. And the first question we had is, why does email on my computer lock me out all the time? Well, that's a very good question. Probably what you're dealing with there is you're probably dealing with a situation where your email either email is polling and it's using the wrong password, or possibly if you're using the email on your computer and you're only getting locked out periodically, it could be your phone is polling with the wrong password. I've seen that happen quite often. Then a lot of times, if you change your password on your computer, you should go and just change it on your phone. I know a lot of people say you don't have to, but you should do it anyway. I notice a lot of people get lockouts a lot less when they do that. The other question we have is there any way to get a DNS entry with a dynamic IP for my IP camera system at home? Well, if you're in, out of state and you're trying to view your house that's in another state, yeah, you're right. Without a static IP, it is going to be difficult. What I have done for people and what I do recommend to people do is go ahead and get a cheap laptop. And what I would recommend is go ahead and install a client for no-ip.org. And you can go to there. And that laptop, as long as if it's a laptop or a machine with a battery backup, as long as you don't lose power for an extended time, that laptop will always update the IP address for you back at no-ip. So you can go to noip.org or .com and actually get your IP address and then put it into your browser and view the cameras. That's probably going to be one of the only things you can do. Or the other thing you could do is get the MAC address on the modem and just have to call the cable company or the DSL company every time you want to look at your cameras. But with the no IP thing, that's something I've done. Like I said, also call your ISP. That's another option you could do. There's not really a whole lot you can do with that. Usually, years ago, DSL used to be static, but they don't give out static IPs anymore. Not a lot of DSLs are dynamic, which is pretty much almost like cable. So that's really the only way you're going to get around that without getting a static IP. And usually, you got to be a commercial account and they're more money. Why does my YouTube buffer so much? Well, YouTube buffers. So this way, there's no break in the video. Now, if the video is going fast and YouTube can buffer, you see this a lot on like Verizon and AT&T. The sticks that you put in to get on the internet. What I would recommend if you don't want it to buffer, you just want to watch it straight through. There's a little bar that goes on before the spot where it tells you we're in your video. Let that get all the way to the end, and then you could play the video without interruption. That's going to be the only thing you could really do, or get a faster internet connection. There's not going to be a whole heck of a lot else you can do as far as that goes. The next question we have is, what is the difference between Netflix and Hulu? There's a couple differences. Hulu is, both of them are streaming services, by the way. You stream over the internet. You just get the content via streaming. Netflix is more movies and TV shows. But the difference is that Netflix doesn't give you advertisements. Hulu does. Even on the paid version now, by the way, they give you Hulu advertisements. So what I would recommend for you is go, since you're dealing. What I recommend is Hulu has, I feel, more TV shows and more up-to-date TV shows. TV show airs within a week. Hulu has it. Netflix doesn't do that. They get seasons at a time of shows. So if you're interested in watching TV, get a Hulu account. If you're interested in seeing old shows or maybe shows from last season, I would go with Netflix. The next question we have. This is really more of a tech question. Enterprise tech, and we don't get too many of these. So, my company wants to buy a cheap SAN. SAN is Story Area Network, by the way. What do you recommend? FreeNAS has a way software you can actually put on something a a SAN that you create. If you wanted to build a server with a disk array or something, you could put their software on it. It would act as an open source type of SAN. Now, that's an option. I know a lot of companies that have actually used that. I believe Rackspace uses it. I'm not 100% sure. But I'm pretty sure that they use that software. HP makes a cheap, inaffordable SAN. I think EVAs seem to have a really, really good reputation, so I'd recommend that. That's an option you could do. There are some other companies out there that do make SANs, but what I found is you really got to watch when you're dealing with SANs, because you're dealing with data, so you want to make sure you get something reliable, something with good support. That's obviously a big issue that a lot of people don't understand, especially HP supporting their SANs. They're known for that. They actually, if you have a warranty, they actually set up like an SMTP server, and what'll happen is if a part goes dead, boom, the guy's there the next day with the part. And SANs are really designed to never go down. They're incredible. The thing is built for redundancy. They even have SANs out there you can buy with like an 8-day battery. So say you lose power in your data center, your SAN is still on for like 8 days. They're really, really built for redundancy. Also, too, when asking that question, you have to ask too: are you looking at fiber channel? Or are you looking at Ethernet? That's going to make a big difference in the price. Obviously, fiber channel being more, because fiber obviously is more expensive. Dell Equalogics, they're running about $17,000. Like I said, the HP storage, the G2s, the fiber channels, they run about $13,000 somewhere in there. Data Core makes a decent one for about $9-10,000. So really, you really depend on what you're trying to do with it, but that's what I would recommend. I really like the HP one because I like the support that I've gotten with them from companies I've worked with. How could I get Internet Explorer on my Android phone? Yeah, that's. Geez, the only thing I recommend for that is if you install maybe go to my PC. Or use like a remote desktop remote to your Windows machine and use Internet Explorer. There is programs out there that simulate Internet Explorer, but I don't think it's going to work that well. Yeah, that's a toughie. Yeah, I know there are some programs you can download that'll simulate IE on the Droid, but I've never had much luck with them. Just like with Firefox, there was a program that you could called IE emulator, but it would work on like 1 in 5 sites. Yeah, I don't know what to really tell you with that. Besides remoting to a Windows machine, that's really hard, especially if you need Internet Explorer and anything, whether it be Linux. They have an IE for Linux, but they don't have an IE for the Android or for the iPhone. Yeah, there's not much you're gonna be able to do on that. My daughter broke the hinge on her laptop. What can I do to fix it? Well, I don't know how tech savvy you are, but what I would recommend, if you're good, this is kind of a hardware question. If you're good at taking it apart, you might be able to either check to see if the screws ripped out of the base of the laptop. You might have to buy a new base to the laptop, which is changing. That's not an easy task, but you could do that. The other thing what you could do, what I've done in the past with people with broken hinges, is take it apart and then you crazy glue the screws back into the hole. Not the greatest fix, but it's cheaper than buying a base if you don't mind messing or tinkering a little bit. The other thing you could do as well is make sure you get a longer screw, and usually one of the screws that are on the far left and on the far right, you can screw it in a little bit deeper and grab. You can kind of like rethread it, kind of grab that's an idea too. If you send me a picture, I might be able to help you out. Let's see. How do I set up my Twitter to post to Facebook? Oh, that's easy. What you could do is if you go into your Twitter setting, if you go into Twitter, towards the bottom, if you go into your settings section, you'll see allow my Twitter to post to Facebook. You have to put in your Facebook credentials and it'll post all your Twitters to your Facebooks. A lot of people do that, so you don't have to post in 2 places. What's better to use, my Twitter account to sign into Pinterest or my user or create a user account? It really all depends. Obviously, if your Twitter account gets hacked, they can get into your Pinterest account, or they can get any of your accounts that you signed into with Twitter. But I like it for ease of use. You don't have to remember tons of passwords. You just click sign out with Twitter, checks your Twitter credentials, and lets you in. I personally love the service. I use it. I think. But besides a very, very minimal security concern, if somebody ever hacks your Twitter, I don't think there's any reason why not to use your Twitter account. That's what I would do. This question we actually got, just not long ago. I guess somebody noticed our new IRC chat. Question is, how do I encrypt IRC traffic? Well, that was the first. They have two questions. Excuse me, double header here. How do I encrypt IRC traffic? There is a setting in like XChat or in iChat. You could actually go through in the preferences. It says, what would you like to do? And just check encrypt traffic and hit OK. The problem with encrypting IRC traffic, though, is if you're going to encrypt the traffic, just because your traffic's encrypted doesn't mean the people you're chatting with on the chat room is encrypted. So that's kind of an issue. IRC traffic will obviously, encrypt your traffic so nobody can read it. But once it gets to that person, the person that's replying, theirs is unencrypted. Your encryption is pretty much pointless. The only thing I could suggest, there's not really much you're going to do. When it comes to that, was everybody in the room. You could go. The IRC does have chat rooms that are where where you have to encrypt to get in. That's an option. But IRC, there's not really. That's how you could do it. But I really have to recommend if you want really concerned about encryption, you have to go into a room that requires it. What is the most secure chat to use? Chat-wise, obviously Google Chat, Facebook Chat, they're pretty safe. If you want to just use a chat client, Tiny Chat's not too bad. There are a lot of them that do require security. There's so many different ones out there that require security nowadays. It really all depends on where your friends are. Like I said, Skype, Tiny Chat's pretty good if you just want to use a chat client. Facebook's encrypted, GChat's encrypted. There's so many of them that are encrypted that it really depends. Really depends on where your friends are and where you want to talk to. How can I get YouTube on my Roku? So you bought a Roku. Well, thank you very much for purchasing that. Your purchase Roku will obviously help support the site, so we thank you for that. thetechnologygeek.org, by the way. The only thing I can recommend is you have to use Plex. They're a service. Roku. When I first started Roku quite a few years ago, they had a YouTube channel. They don't anymore. I don't know why I got pulled, but you can use Plex. That'll let you view YouTube videos. If they're music videos, you could use Vivo. They have a channel on there now, and that's what I use to watch all my music videos. Is just watch them through Vivo. So that's an option you could do. How can I do a live show on YouTube? You can't. I think what I recommend is like what we're doing right now, using Ustream for our show. By the way, you can get our show on Ustream on the Technology Geek site. I don't know if we are doing a live broadcast right now, but that's an option you could do. And then you send it over to YouTube, but it'll be recorded. Yeah, the only way you're going to really be able to do a live show is using Ustream. And then after that, you can upload the recorded show to YouTube, which is what we do. Then the last question we have: how can I access saved passwords in Firefox? Well, that's security questions this week. A lot of enterprise security questions. It's kind of neat. There's a huge problem with Firefox. If you go into Firefox options and security, click on saved passwords and show passwords, it hashes your passwords in clear text. There's no real challenge there. So like I said, I would go ahead and just do it that way. You can get all your old passwords. I know what you're trying to do. You probably forgot a password to a website, and you're trying to go ahead and you're trying to find, what your old password is. So, like I said, I would just go. Firefox it does that natively. So, just go ahead in there, and you can go ahead and get all your old passwords for all your old sites. That's actually a very huge security flaw, and I'm actually very surprised that it hasn't been, I'm really surprised it hasn't been patched yet, because that's a huge, huge security vulnerability. I want to thank everybody for listening to our podcast. Again, you can find all of our podcasts on our iTunes channel, as well as on our website, thetechnologygeek.org. And again, you can get all of our shows right on our website at thetechnologygeek.org. And don't forget our store, aacrstore.com, for all of our store. You buy something to help support the site, so we do appreciate that. And we want to thank everybody for listening, and we will talk to you again next week.